Hey, Trill, let me try that again. Hey, true believers and fellow film fans, Englentine here, and I want to talk about Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I went and saw it yesterday, as a matter of fact, and kind of let everything sort of settle. How do I really feel about this movie? Is it the most fantastic film in the world? Where it went wrong? And I got to tell you, I'm a fan of the Mission Impossible series. I liked all of them at a certain point. Obviously, everybody says number 2 is the worst, and I'm not going to argue. Okay, look, the first one was directed by a guy named Brian De Palma, who has always wanted to be Alfred Hitchcock. That is his goal, man. Watch his movies. And then the second one is actually a remake of an Alfred Hitchcock film. And I think that's one of the weird directions of Mission Impossible, is how Hitchcockian can they get? And I thought, wow, John Woo directing Alfred Hitchcock, that's pretty wild. And it was. And yes, I do think number 2 is the weakest of the bunch. But what ended up happening is that number 4, they just blew up. They became something really cool. Weird thing is, this year has been one of the worst summers for big blockbuster movies. This one is supposed to save the box office. And I get into the theater, and the movie starts up. First thing we see right out of the gate is Tom Cruise saying, "Thank you for coming to the theater." I thought, oh, well, that's actually kind of cool, because I mean, there are some movie producers, which Tom Cruise is. He produces the Mission Impossible movies. And there's some actors and some directors who truly see film as an art form. I believe Tom Cruise is one of those. The thing is Tom Cruise doesn't do independent movies. He does his right out in the open, with the big budget movies. And I like that. I love the fact that they came out and said, "Thank you for coming to the theater," because a lot of people have been trained now. Stay at home, watch for the streaming. And I would like to see a little twist, like maybe the movie directors and everything. Let's go to the theater and everything. I think the way to do it is to bring back physical media and have a run at the movie theater. Then you have your physical media run, and then they're put on streaming. But that's just me. Hello to everybody jumping in. Brad Burt, by the way, 3 I loved, and it's mostly because of Philip Seymour Hoffman. But you know what? At some point in time, I should do a ranking, maybe a tier list or something like that. But this movie starts, and right away I'm thinking, oh shit, we're in trouble. No, not this movie. So there's a scene that starts this. I'm not going to be really spoiled. Some of the beginning of the movie, I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to try to open it up to not be so spoiling. The first scene we see is a submarine scene, and it's damn near just a takeaway from Hunt for Red October. And I thought, no, the Mission Impossible movies has to lead. If you're going to be doing anything, what this movie, we're expecting this movie to do, it needs to lead. It can't be the follower. It can't just take stuff from other movies. And it starts off on a submarine, and it really does feel like Hunt for Red October. And I was like, okay, it's an okay start. I'm fine with it. The music fires up, and I got to admit, when the dun 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 dun, my blood just went. Now we're in for it. Okay, here we go. And I lean back in my chair, and we get going, and it becomes a dialogue scene. And this is one of the weirdest dialogue scenes in the world. You got Cary Elwes. He's the director of something or other. And he's talking to a whole bunch of his, I guess, underlings, and they start explaining the situation. And the way they do it is everybody's got their sentence. So it's like, hey, we've got to go to the store tomorrow so we could buy ourselves a Slim Jim. And each one gets a line, and it passes right. I kept waiting for Cary Elwes to turn around and go, did you guys freaking rehearse this? Is this the way you're going to be talking through the meeting? Because it's pissing me off. Because all throughout this was pissing me off. And I went, oh my God, this is going to suck. This movie is going to suck. Oh dear Lord, we get a ripoff, and then we get this dialogue scene that's the most annoying piece of I've heard in much less a Mission Impossible movie. Oh my gosh, it was like, what's up with this? Hello to Cartoons and Comics just jumped in. And I was like, oh my Lord in heaven, is this the way? And then this oh, by the way, there is a scene in between there. I'm not, like I said, I don't want to spoil, but they didn't go straight in. We didn't see Ethan Hunt first, and he's decided he's got to pop in on this. We find out that one of the people Carrie Elways is talking to is Kittredge from the very first movie. He was the guy who controlled the IMF, or at least he gave them the missions, that should they choose it or not. And we see this weird Spanish guy walk into this meeting and just stands there silent. And I'm like, nobody's going to acknowledge him. Like, hey, Joe, what's up? You know, nothing like that. He's just standing there. I went, that's Ethan Hunt then. You know, if nobody's talking to him, because one of the things is when they're in the mask, you try not to talk unless you get the little voice thing. And turns out, okay, yeah, it is him. And he talks to Kittredge and they get the mission and so forth and so on. And I'm already understanding. Look, I'm thinking this movie is done in the first 10 minutes. And I already know that this is going to be a unfinished roller coaster of a movie. It really is. We already know this is the part one, and we've seen it before. I got to tell you, I'm not a big fan of Deathly Hallows Part 1 at the theaters. When you get it home and you can watch Part 2 right after. And the main reason is because ultimately the villain won and the movie didn't have a resolution. So I'm expecting that here as well. And then Tom Cruise gets the mission. He goes out and he's at an airport. And I'm not going to spoil anything. Okay. This is just the basic setup. He apparently he needs to find a key. And the key is to something they don't know what it unlocks. While he's there, he's also being hunted by the government, and he's trying to get the key and what this key unlocks. And at the same time, there's a bomb. So you got layer upon layer upon layer, and it is handled perfectly. I mean, this movie, that's when this movie kicks off, dude. And I was like, holy shit, because they're handling everything. It's a lot. It should just overload everything. Like the senses should be gone. But no, they actually keep everything in its own pace, yet connected. So I got on. I was like, okay, cool. How's this going to be done? This is really neat. And as it served, this is when it kicks off. We get to meet Haley Atwell, which a lot of people are saying that's the reason I'm watching. Okay, to each their own. Agent Carter's a great show, so I was looking for it. So and Paramount C said we're exposing 4 times for its Dollar General. They get a DVD. Yeah, they need to bring back the DVDs, obviously. And this is the funny thing. What Brian De Palma tried to do with Mission Impossible, what John Woo tried to do with Mission Impossible 2, this movie does. This is the greatest Hitchcock film that Alfred Hitchcock has never directed. See, Alfred Hitchcock believed in the MacGuffin. The MacGuffin is an item that the characters care about, but we don't. We could give a shit about the key. We care about how it affects and where it takes our hero and heroine right here, you know, and that's the main thing. And so we get all these action set pieces. It's basically kind of like a Warner Brothers card. I've got the key. He's got the key. Who's got the key? I don't know. But what we're really loving is this awesome car chase. You've seen it in the previews where he's driving this little yellow car, and that's almost like farcical. There's a sense of humor. There's a sense of humor to this without betraying the structure of the Mission Impossible movie, unlike a lot of the recent Marvel movies like Thor Ragnarok, which totally destroyed the character in order to have a sense of humor. This movie has a sense of humor in character. So you have Ethan Hunt running around. He's trying to find a replacement car, and he's got he actually has where a program. Okay, my replacement car is down the road to the left. All right. And you see this little yellow car that both of them are taller than, and they get into this, and there's a really legitimate high-speed chase in this freaking clown car. And that's part of the excellence of this film. The humor is within the characters. It makes sense. It also makes sense to have a car like that. I'm sorry, but if you don't want to stand out, don't get in a freaking Lamborghini. You know, I think this went too far the other way, but it was funny. It was fun and funny. There's one scene where they end up going down some stairs, and one of the drivers has this big kind of Humvee sort of thing, and it's just boom, 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 boom. And then you see Ethan Hunt and Haley Atwell's character, and they're like, I lost it. I'm like, that's funny as shit, man. But it really worked. It really worked. So we do get a lot of these action scenes, and the villain of the piece, there's two of them. Isam Marsalis, who was huge in the 80s. I'm glad to see he's back in a lot of stuff these days. I've always liked him as an actor. He is the henchman to something called the Entity. The Entity is Skynet, basically. But Skynet realized it doesn't need to build killer robots and send them after you. And they're trying to get the countries of the world are trying to get Skynet and Ethan Van Sciver. Yeah, that I do comics normally. Ethan Hunt decided that no, this power should be destroyed, and that's why he's being chased. And so it's all about that. And there's at a certain point, he's telling his team, look, this is far beyond anything that we can stand. You guys can't be near me. This thing is after me. And they say, no, you're not getting it. You're thinking too much like a human. You got to be a computer and realize everything we've already figured out. This computer is figured out, and you just need to go for it. That kind of thing. This movie may have replaced Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as my favorite film of the year. If you haven't noticed, in spite of the flaws at the beginning, and I'm telling you, that conversation is fucking horrible. It really was a lot of fun. It really was just entertaining. Not much more to that than this. This message will self-destruct. I've self-destructed a long time ago and many, many times. So I'm sure at some point this will. I'm trying to figure out what. Oh, there are also along with Isam, I'm getting his name wrong. Isam Morales, the actor. He's got a henchwoman played by Palm Fritz. I don't know her name. She plays Mantis. I'm going to call her Mantis. She's in this, and she is a cartoon character. I mean, everybody else seems to be a little bit grounded. She's got like Harley Quinn makeup across her face, and she's got a sword cane that she takes and she whips ass on some people. But she does a pretty good job. Whenever they have her fighting, and whenever they have her fighting guys, she's using her speed and her knives and or sword. So it's not a ridiculous thing. This is not a thing where you're seeing this skinny little girl just walking up and, boxing guys that are a lot bigger than her. There is one scene where she goes up to Ethan. I'm like, why would you pick this as the place you're going to fight Ethan Hunt in? Because it's very cramped. And I'm thinking, Ethan's going to freaking wipe the floor with you here. And that's exactly what happens. Yeah, there's a couple of times where she does a couple of flips or something to get the upper hand, but it's for like 2 seconds before, right up, she's pancaked. And that's the way it would be. So they do this properly. Another was where they should have brought a gun to the knife fight, that kind of thing. Otherwise, this film is just so much fun. It's so, it is. Is this going to save the box office? Guys, it's up to you. Get ye out to the freaking theater. This is where it needs to be seen. This is where a lot of the movies need to be seen. Kind of funny because I remember when I was reviewing Ant-Man, I said this. I said, do I recommend the film? It's kind of on the side to me, but if you're going to see it in the theaters. Same thing as Indiana Jones. Unless you've got like a huge TV screen with a great sound system, go see Indiana Jones in the theater. Even though, okay, yes, I heard it was a bomb. Well, you know, go see it if you're planning on seeing it at all in the theaters where this one needs to be seen. The only movies that I saw this summer that I don't think need to be seen in a theater is probably like Elementals. That one most definitely didn't. And that's part of the problem. We're losing that theater experience. And let's face it, sometimes that theater experience isn't all it's cracked up to be. So it's 2 for 2 with Tom Cruise. Oh, you mean like last year when he did Top Gun, and now this year the movie theater's jumping on the back of Tom Cruise. The movie theater experience is now on the back of Tom Cruise. He seems to know what people want. As we've pointed out, as a lot of people have pointed out, the big bombs tend to belong to Disney. Disney has kind of gone that ESG thing, the what do they call it? Equity, inclusion, and who cares? Because we don't want to watch that crap anymore. I see my computer's having a hard time choosing between me or Haley Atwell, and I'm pretty sure you guys are like, Haley Atwell, stop focusing on the ugly guy. But it really is the diversity, equity, inclusion kind of stuff that is messing up. Let's face it. You know, when I did my top 10, like where is every movie going to stop? I put the Disney movie, The Little Mermaid, at the top, number 1, because in spite of all of us going, oh, this is going to suck and that's going to suck, this one sucks, every freaking movie, every one of those Disney remakes is like $1 billion earner. This time around, I think people are getting tired of it. I'm not saying all the Disney movies were bad. I liked Indiana Jones. It's just that I think I really do. I'm starting to really get hit by the fact that not just us, we've been against this thing forever and a day, but I think general audiences, the normies, are getting tired of the forced messaging. And that's what's happening. Now, once again, I think Indiana Jones got a bad rap. Check that out in the theaters. For all of the bad messaging in The Little Mermaid, it's The Little Mermaid. They just told it with a black girl. That's it. Melissa McCarthy's awesome in it. I do think that they could have lit up the end scene. Gosh, I want to really go into this more and talk more about Mission Impossible. I'm going to do a spoilery review, or maybe I should just say spoilers, but there's so much fun to be had in this movie. Oh, and I will say this, and this is not a spoiler. One of the best things about this movie being Dead Reckoning Part 1, this is a complete movie. Remember I mentioned how this tries and actually succeeds at being an Alfred Hitchcock film. If Alfred Hitchcock were a modern day director, this is the kind of movie he would make. One of the reasons is that they didn't make it all about the big villain, the big entity. They made it about finding that key right here. We need this. This is the most important thing in the freaking world. So at the end, when all is said and done, they actually wrap the film up where this is done. Boom. You can see the rest of the series, but you don't have to watch the rest of the series. You don't have to see part 2 for this movie to be an excellent part 1. I think Avengers Infinity War did the same thing. Yeah, it ended on a down note, but it ended. Wrapped up. It was done. This one does the same thing. It leaves you satisfied that you had watched a full and complete story. And this is tough to do. Like I said, I don't think Harry Potter did it. I think Avengers Infinity War did it, and I think this film did it as well. This movie made me feel satisfied for what I saw, and yet, dude, fire that part 2 up right now. That's how I felt, man. There's only one other thing that I felt that way about, and that was this year, and that was Superman and Lois, where you see Superman and Doomsday flying at each other. I'm like, don't end it there. I want to see more. Come on, come on. And so I think this movie succeeds on so many different levels. Granted, oh, by the way, the conversation I mentioned in the beginning, they do have another information dump, which goes the exact same way, but it's the Ethan Hunt team. So it was a flaw in the writing. It does not affect the film at all. It doesn't affect how it should be taken. I think it's absolutely this movie is absolutely fantastic. A freaking plus film. Definite. I will own this. I own the other movies. I'm gonna own this one too. This is just, it's absolutely fantastic. But anyway, guys, that's all I got on this without going into spoilers. So thank you very much for hanging out with me and listening to me rant about a great movie. A few of the problems that I guess need to actually be talked about as far as theaters are concerned. My advice, check this movie out. Check a lot of the bigger movies out on the big screen. If you have to, go during the day. That's what I did. As a matter of fact, this is something I thought was funny. I walked in, and there's maybe 10 people in the theater. I was thinking of taking a picture and going, click, click. Theater's empty. This must be a bomb. It was taken at 3:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday. You know, just to show that it's all perspective. I could arrive at any time of the day, walk into an empty theater. This is my theater. Aha, it's bombing. Yeah, so be very careful about that kind of stuff. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to do all the clickings and the likings and sharings and stuff. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good day.